Дайте им пройти!
Пошел, сука! Давай, сука!
A series of attempts designed to suppress the front line instead turned into a series of failures that revealed themselves one by one. It started with a rapid advance by a motorized unit that attempted to penetrate the defenses, but was stopped before reaching its target. Meanwhile, aerial surveillance continued, detecting any movement of Russian troops attempting to hide in open terrain. Several enemy personnel remaining in the conflict area were eventually secured and taken prisoner, signaling that the situation on the ground was fully under control. It didn't stop there. Other efforts involving air support also encountered serious obstacles. Reports indicate that a helicopter used for troop mobilization was disabled before it could change the course of the situation. A swift attempt designed to penetrate the defense instead turned into an unexpected situation on the front lines. In a recent report on the Russia-Ukraine conflict this month, it was reported that a Russian unit attempted a rapid advance toward Ukrainian positions, utilizing high mobility in open terrain. This tactic is typically used to surprise the enemy and find gaps in defense lines. However, the situation on the ground developed differently than planned. Ukrainian forces, having monitored the movement in advance, immediately responded in a measured manner. With the support of modern surveillance and inter-unit coordination, they were able to read the movement's direction and prepare anticipatory measures before the unit reached a crucial point. The movement, initially designed to pressure the defenses, lost momentum. Ukrainian forces then gradually locked down the area, narrowing the area of movement and ensuring the situation remained under control without excessive escalation. In subsequent developments, several Russian personnel were reportedly secured in different locations and subsequently declared prisoners of war in accordance with international procedures. This process demonstrates that field operations do not always end in open confrontation, but can also lead to tactical control of the situation. The rapid penetration attempt ultimately failed to penetrate the Ukrainian defense lines, which had been prepared in layers.
Дайте им пройти!
Пошел, сука!
But what is more interesting is not just how the movement was stopped, but how the situation was controlled at such close range. In several field reports, the approach used points to close quarters battle CQB tactics, a close quarters operational method that prioritizes spatial control, team communication, and speed of decision-making. CQB is not just about close contact, but about how small units can quickly gain control of a situation, locking down movement, limiting the opponent's options, and maintaining stability in a confined area. With this approach, troops can reduce unnecessary risks while ensuring every step remains coordinated. And this is the turning point, when speed is no longer the advantage, and precision is the key to the outcome. This incident illustrates clearly that in modern conflict, success is determined not only by how quickly a unit moves, but by how prepared they are for an organized response. In such a setting, every second, every decision, and every coordination factor determines whether an operation succeeds or is ultimately halted before it even begins. And just when the situation seems under control, that's where the real pressure begins. Once the initial movement was successfully stopped, the focus shifted to maintaining control of the area. In these circumstances, stability was the top priority. Ukrainian forces not only stopped the movement, but also ensured that no new gaps could be exploited. Securing the area was carried out systematically, maintaining a safe distance while maintaining coordination between units. Every small movement was monitored, every possibility was considered. This step was crucial to ensure that the situation did not escalate into a more complex one, especially in a dynamic environment like the front line. Because in a field like this, one small gap can change everything. The approach used demonstrated that mastery of the situation was not just about quick reactions, but also about consistently maintaining control after initial contact. Units on the ground remained alert, ensuring that no further movement went unnoticed. This included anticipating the possibility of other units attempting to follow the same path. In other words, success did not stop at one moment. It was maintained throughout the subsequent series of decisions. This is what is rarely seen. not just the moment of being stopped, but how the situation was actually secured. In many cases, the phase after initial contact is the deciding factor. This is where discipline, communication, and understanding the terrain play a major role. A structured approach allows troops to maintain control of the situation, avoid unnecessary escalation,
Все, обувайся, будешь бить координат.
and ensure that results on the ground remain stable. These elements are often subtle, but they are key to modern operations. And ultimately, it's not just about one failed movement. It's about how the defense system works as a whole. This incident demonstrates that effective defense isn't built on a single element, but rather a combination of surveillance, rapid response, and advanced control. In today's conflict zones, every step is challenged, and ensure that results on the ground remain stable. These elements are often subtle, but they are key to modern operations. And ultimately, it's not just about one failed movement. It's about how the defense system works as a whole. This incident demonstrates that effective defense isn't built on a single element, but rather a combination of surveillance, rapid response, and advanced control. In today's conflict zones, every step is challenged, and in the end, it all comes down to one thing: who truly controls the situation. What happened on the front lines isn't just about one failed attempt. It's a demonstration of how a defense system works as a whole, from initial detection, rapid response, to final security. Because in a field like this, the outcome isn't determined by who moves first, but by who can predict the next move. Rapid movement can seem convincing at first, but without the support of information, coordination, and readiness to face the enemy's response, everything can change in a matter of seconds. And that's what this incident demonstrated. Because what's often overlooked is that the most decisive moment occurs when everything seems almost over. Rapid movement can seem convincing at first, but without the support of information, coordination, and readiness to face the enemy's response, everything can change in a matter of seconds. And that's what this incident demonstrated. Because what's often overlooked is that the most decisive moment occurs when everything seems almost over. When a situation begins to take control, that's where discipline is tested. Can the unit maintain focus? Is coordination seamless? Has every possibility been anticipated? These are the questions that distinguish between merely successful operations and truly controlled operations. And this is where the reality of modern conflict becomes clear. It's not about who is the most aggressive, but who is the most prepared. With the advancement of surveillance technology, speed alone is no longer enough. Every movement can be monitored, every gap can be exploited, and every decision must be made with precision. That's why a tactical approach, as seen in this incident, is becoming increasingly important. So the question now is, was this just an isolated incident, or is it part of a larger pattern on the modern battlefield? Because if this pattern continues to repeat itself, then we are witnessing a shift in the way combat is conducted, where speed is replaced by tactical intelligence, and courage must be balanced with careful calculation. And one thing is for sure, in a battlefield like this, nothing is truly simple. As the distances close, everything changes. In this kind of terrain, technological superiority and rapid movement begin to shift. What remains are individual skills and the coordination of small teams within a limited space. Meeting units at close range creates a highly dynamic situation. There is no room for error, and every decision must be made in a split second. This is the phase where the pressure is truly felt, not just physically, but mentally as well. The Ukrainian troops involved in this operation appear to be implementing a structured approach. They not only move quickly, but also maintain stable formations and communications. In conditions like these, maintaining situational awareness is key. Because at these distances, it's not numbers that matter, but who is better prepared. In some instances, it's clear how small units are able to control an area by limiting the opponent's movement. This approach is often associated with close-quarters battle (CQB) tactics, where the primary focus is on efficiently capturing tight spaces. CQB isn't just about aggressiveness, but about reading the opponent's position, organizing team movements, and ensuring each step supports the other. In situations like this, even simple movements like shifting positions or securing a corner can be decisive. And this is where things get really fast, but it still has to be controlled. Teams that maintain a rhythm and don't rush often have the advantage. Instead of moving aimlessly, They rely on coordination and signals between team members. Meanwhile, teams that lose momentum tend to get stuck in defensive positions without a clear direction. In some reports, situations like this result in the security of personnel who no longer have room to continue moving. This demonstrates that control of the situation is prioritized over open confrontation. What's often not seen is how every corner can be decisive. The environment plays a huge role in close-quarters combat. Buildings, trenches, even the contours of the terrain can influence the course of an operation. Troops that are able to utilize their environment typically find it easier to control the situation. They not only move, but also read the terrain as part of their strategy. This approach makes every move feel calculated, not just a knee-jerk reaction. And when all of that comes together, the results are no accident. Success in this situation isn't due to a single factor, but a combination of early observation, rapid response, team coordination, and close-quarters control. All of these elements work together, creating results that are clearly visible on the ground. This is the face of modern conflict: fast, close, and calculated. What happens in moments like this demonstrates that combat is no longer about sheer force, but how small units can operate effectively under high pressure. At this point, every move has a consequence. Every decision has an impact. And in the end, it's not the one who moves the fastest that survives. It's the one who is best prepared for what comes next.
Выходь, Сдавайся!
This incident isn't just about a single failed attempt to breach a defense. It's a larger picture of how modern conflict unfolds: fast, complex, and calculated. From the initial movement that attempts to capitalize on speed, to the measured response that stops the situation before it escalates, it all demonstrates that every step in a field like this never stands alone. Every decision is connected, every movement is monitored, and every gap can determine the ultimate outcome. Because what is often seen is only the end result, not the decisive process behind it. Many see the moment when a unit is successfully stopped, or when a situation appears to be under control. But what is rarely recognized is the series of processes that occur before: observation, coordination, communication, and precise execution.
Почему первый?
This is what makes the difference. It's not just who moves first, but who is able to maintain control from beginning to end. And herein lies a major shift in the way conflict is conducted. Where speed and numbers were often the primary factors in the past, everything has changed. Surveillance technology, rapid response, and the ability of small units to master the situation are now the deciding factors.
Ложись! Треба було дати їм вийти, сука, наверх.
Uncoordinated movements will be easily detected. Hastiness will lead to loss of direction, and an immature strategy will stall before it can even begin. This is the unavoidable reality. Every move is now under constant scrutiny, whether from the air, from the ground, or from systems operating behind the scenes. Today's conflict zones no longer allow much room for error. Everything moves under time pressure.
Контроль! Контроль є, запригуємо. Арі, це Рубік, бліндаж зачищено, прийом.
Плюс, починайте зачистку гребеня, прибіжав бліндажів.
Everything depends on accuracy, and everything is determined by being prepared for unexpected responses. So in the end, it's not just about who attacks or defends. It's about who can read the situation faster, who can adapt better, and who can remain calm when circumstances change in a matter of seconds. Because in a battlefield like this, One thing has become very clear. It's not the most aggressive that always wins. It's not the fastest that always succeeds.
Та я бачу, ти посвіт. Да. Що таке?